Three, two, one. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing great wherever you're watching the video from. The U.S. is testing Venezuelan air defenses in a way that we have never seen before. It's being ramped up on a level which shows us that this could come to blows in the next few days or the next few weeks. There's no guarantee on what could happen at this point with the massive amount of air power that has been testing Venezuelan airspace. And the coastline of Venezuela has essentially been peppered with electronic signals intelligence gathering aircraft to try to figure out exactly how best to attack Venezuela. And this is exactly what you would do if you were going to go into a nation and take down the standing government. You would test all these different aspects. You would send up F-18s, E-2D Hawkeyes, B-52s, and you would be testing how to make it happen. And you would slowly and progressively be ramping it up. That's what I've learned in a lot of the strategic schools I went to in the U.S. military, is basically a phased approach. You don't want to go too heavy, too quick. You want to test and see how much you actually need. Because at the end of the day, you need overwhelming force. That's a huge part of any military operation, but you don't want to get to a point where you're overdoing it and you're overexposing your force so that now you're potentially losing aircraft or you're having an embarrassing moment. The scandal, what happened in Iran, when basically they were hiding the fact, Reagan was hiding the fact that C-130s were flying in for a daring rescue operation, and there was a crash. In the middle of the night, C-130s crashed. They collided with helicopters, and basically this was a total disaster. Huge black eye, so you want to avoid things like that. So the best way to do that is to test as much as you can over and over again. And today I want to really dive into the different aircraft that are involved, what we might be seeing moving into the region here soon, and how these aircraft all tie in together. Right now, it's said there's over 130 aircraft available that can be used at the Caribbean in the snap of a finger. And so we're going to break down what those might be, and we're going to start off with the F-A-18E Super Hornet. That is a highly capable jet. You've heard me talk about it many times, and it's actually been doing flights near the coast probably more than any other jet has. And so as we look at the coastline here of Venezuela, just a few days ago from the time of this video being released, there was actually a flight of 4 of them. There was about 2 holding here off the coast. 2 of them escorted a B-52 as it did a close pass by the shoreline here. And again, that's when you're testing. So those B-52s are going to have a lot of intelligence gathering information as well. They're going to potentially be doing some sort of tests where they're seeing what is painting them. So what are the radars that are looking at them? And they basically flew right here down the coast with 2 F-18s with an E-2D Hawkeye that was with them, as well as 2 other E-2D Hawkeye held out here over the ocean and were prepared to refuel the aircraft as they made their way in. So very interesting to see this amount of testing going on. This is not normal. This is not something that you typically see. But again, as we look at kind of the rhetoric of what's going on, so some people are basically still saying, they're still having that argument about the legality of attacking the drug boats. To me, this is a very cut and dry argument. If they're designated as foreign terrorist organizations and the intelligence is good enough, so you have the intelligence coming from the different platforms, especially the MQ-9 Reaper, potentially even having more advanced assets up there like satellites, pinging these different boats and seeing what's on them, basically zooming in to be able to read a license plate from hundreds of miles out. So when you have that type of technology that can reach out and look and get that type of intel, it's really hard for this argument of the intelligence wasn't there. Quick water break. So when people say that the intelligence isn't there, you can't divulge the exact intelligence that's being said or being given by the Department of War. I mean, imagine if the enemy knew exactly every move that was being made by the Department of War. That wouldn't be a great strategy, right? Like football teams aren't giving away their strategy, so why would the Department of War do that? So here's another highlight that's going on. Is recent updates are showing that Russia is really moving full steam ahead with protecting Venezuela. And they have a lot of lucrative oil contracts. So with those lucrative oil contracts, obviously they're going to want to protect Venezuela, because a lot of the products that Russia sells to Venezuela helps make Venezuela's oil less sulfuric. And then they can sell it on the global market. They can sell it on the black market, as likely has been going down because of the sanctions that would be on any Venezuelan oil that's being sold. So again, that's being assisted by Russia. That's why a lot of those ships keep flowing into Russia. But again, when it comes to the assets, the fixed wing assets, that are going to see what's on those boats and that are going to see what kind of boats are actually still going and making their way into Venezuela. A lot of that's going to be fixed wing assets, likely MQ-9 Reapers. But again, 57 FA-18s are out there on the USS Ford, just highly capable aircraft. So it's just that fighter wing having that many FA-18s ready to go and the strike packages that could roll off. We're talking multiple jets a minute blasting off the USS Ford. Just a very highly capable aircraft carrier. And then also on that, there are MH-60R Seahawks. Those are anti-submarine multi-mission helos. And so those could be taking down a lot of the fast boats as well. That's probably one of the best things to take down the fast boats, are having those helos up there, because they're low, they're slow, they're kind of right there in the mix. So when it comes to VID, visual identification, the MH-60 is going to be excellent at getting that visual identification. Again, the different sensors that could be on that thing as well. And then the Hellfire missile, which is going to be on the MH-60, is one of the most capable missiles, and that can be launched basically with the pilots seeing the exact area where the target's going to hit with a little triangle and an eyepiece, seeing exactly where that missile is going to smack. So again, very capable platform. There's 20 of those in the area. And then again, we have land-based fighters as well. So we have F-35Bs. Those are operating out of Roosevelt Roads in Puerto Rico. That's a base in Puerto Rico where a lot of the infrastructure has been improved over the last few months, and a lot of money has flown in to just make sure that that base is good to go. So F-35 Lightning IIs, and those are F-35Bs. There's over 10 of those. I would guess it's a squadron of 12 F-35Bs operated by the Marines. Those are now also in the area ready to do action and ready to perform with those B-52s. So we saw those B-52s fly over just a couple days ago. So again, at any given notice, the F-35s could roll in and protect the B-2s or the B-52s as well. B-2s probably less likely to be used in this situation, just because you don't need as many stealth assets when it comes to Venezuela as you might need for other nations, and we'll leave those unmentioned. We won't name any names of what nations you might need those stealth bombers for, but likely the bombers that will be operating here in this region will be the B-1B Lancer and the B-52 Stratofortress. Those carry a massive amount of weapons. I mean, when you think of 3 of those things, that's kind of like a metric ton of weapons that could be dropped on any given area in Venezuela. So as these aircraft come in and start to put pressure on Venezuela, basically the regime is seeing, hey, are they bluffing? Are they bluffing? And this could also be something that just builds them to think, there's no big deal. We don't think that they're ever going to come through and do an actual kinetic strike. So to me, this is what I see as a very smart buildup. And like Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, you never want to know you don't want the enemy to know exactly what you're going to do at any given time. You want to be the one to surprise the enemy. And I like what I'm seeing with these different bombers testing the airspace, these different fighters testing the airspace, and the EA-18G Growler testing the airspace, getting as close as possible and then turning around, seeing what lights it up. That's going to be one of the most capable aircraft out there when it comes to knowing what air defenses Venezuela has. So again, for the B-1Bs and the B-52s, I would assume that the Bomber Command for the U.S. Air Force would probably allocate 4 to 6 of those at any given notice to be on alert for this Venezuelan mission. So 4 to 6 of those bad boys ready to go at any given time is what my guess would be. And then something that's very interesting is the P-8 Poseidon. And the P-8 Poseidon, to me, that is an aircraft that is very underrated, I guess is the best way to put it. So this is what the P-8 Poseidon looks like. It just looks like a, 737. But really, this is an advanced submarine hunter. It's a boat hunter, but it can do a lot of different things when it comes to detecting hot spots on land. I mean, you want to detect an entire hot spot on land to see where maybe a drug lab is. This is where you would go. Turn to the P-8 Poseidon. There's people in this that are interpreting different signals. They're interpreting exactly what's going on with certain drug labs. So you really have the ability to tune in and dial in. And this aircraft will be testing the airspace in a way that we've never seen, before on this scale. All these different aircraft testing the airspace is a scale that we just really haven't seen before. And again, the RC-135, that aircraft is testing the airspace as well. Again, you see this big nose here. This is a big signals intelligence aircraft where man, it's really hard to sneak anything past this aircraft because there are language experts on this aircraft listening into everything that's being said. So Maduro's having some discussions with his mistress. He's having some discussions with his wife, and they could accidentally tie in that call. So now they're on a three-way call. Sorry, Maduro, this is your next Christmas gift. Like, this is your next birthday gift, my friend. But this aircraft is so highly capable, the way that it intertwines into the electronic spectrum. It can basically detect things throughout the entire spectrum. You know, whether it's radios, whether it's cell phones, satellite communications, this is the aircraft to do that. But again, it is it's basically a sitting duck. It's a high value target that could be targeted by S-300s, those surface to air missiles in Venezuela. But this has been testing the airspace in a way that we haven't seen the RC-135 used for decades. So again, this is a very capable platform, and it's being unleashed and turned loose on the cartels. To me, this will be the cartel's worst nightmare because it's going to track their POL, which is their pattern of life, and it's going to track, you know, when they're coming, when they're going. This thing's going to know exactly what they're doing, which is not something that most cartels want the U.S. Air Force to know about, obviously. We've also got MV-22 Ospreys in the area, so that's definitely worth looking at. I mean, the MV-22, highly capable, little bit of some reliance issues early on, but the V-22 Osprey, it just looks awesome. I mean, the Marines operate it, the Navy operates it. This is pretty awesome. This guy's sitting here, looks like he's got a gun just kind of standing there. Doesn't get more hardcore than that. I mean, that's like, is this the cure to male loneliness? Just V-22s with 4 of your best friends flying into Venezuela, hanging out of the door with an M4? Yeah, this could be the cure to male loneliness right here. I think we're looking at it, my friends. But yeah, very capable aircraft. And then when it comes to search and reconnaissance, so searching large swaths of ocean or land and then going in and doing rescue operations, that's the bread and butter of this aircraft. So very capable there. And so that brings us to about 115 to 130. Now, there's other aircraft throughout the U.S. that could be on alert, that could come in at any given moment and basically be the backup and be the reserve. So let's say 3 B-52s rolled in, dropped a massive amount of JDAMs, or actually standoff weapons would be even better, like the JSOW, the Joint Standoff Weapon. That's a stealth cruise missile that could just launch from that thing, 1,000-pound warhead, go in and strike targets in Venezuela. And then they would pretty quickly, within probably 24 hours, have a third wave of B-52s ready to go. So again, highly capable and it's very interesting because this amount of aircraft is probably somewhere in, you know, the top 20 to 30 most like large air forces that are conglomerated in one area at any given time in the world, maybe even higher than that right now with 130 aircraft. And we're just looking at a piece of sky that is being walled in closer and closer every single day. So as you look at the different air forces around the world, United States, obviously number 1, 13,300 aircraft. Russia's number 2 with 4,200. And then coming in number 3, China, 3,300. France, 970. Thailand, 280. US and Caribbean, 120. So it's not too far down there, but but very interesting to have this much air power. And the reason why they're there, guys, the reason I'm making this video is because I want to drive home how much this airspace is being tested. Because when you're testing airspace, I get it. It could be being done for negotiations. Yes, maybe Trump is trying to really drive home the point that he at any given moment could strike down Maduro. And maybe he's driving that home. Obviously, public opinion doesn't want a boots on the ground war. But if you go in and you cut the head off the snake and then there's someone else to take their place, now you've got a situation where you could have a regime change without having boots on the ground. And I want to be the first one to say I think boots on the ground is a terrible idea when it comes to anybody but special operators and fighter pilots up in the sky overhead, bomber crews way off the coast. That's the kind of surgical strike and surgical forces that we need, if anything is to go down. But when it comes to boots on the ground, I agree. I do not think that having boots on the ground would be a good thing at all. That is not something that I want to see in the near future at all. So again, even like getting into some of the details on X. So the Venezuela situation, it's tense. And Grok is even chiming in saying that the U.S. terrorist designations on Maduro's regime and military drills are in response to what we've seen over the past few weeks. And basically, Maduro's kind of stepping up, trying to show that, hey, everybody's happy here. I have a democratic regime. We're good. But we all know better. I mean, Maduro is basically, doing everything he can to just retain power and retain that grip on the country. So quickly, I want to just discuss what it would look like if an attack were to go down. So if this strike were to happen, because the testing is one thing, right? The testing is important and it's going to happen. If there's any type of conflict, that's going to happen. But the way that the strike would likely go down is basically B-52s being escorted by F-35Bs, launching those long-range standoff weapons, and then going back to their safety nets in the homeland of the United States. They don't want to be anywhere close to the S-300s that could potentially strike them down. And here's an interesting point as well. The B-52 can actually carry small diameter bombs. Small diameter bombs are a very capable weapon. And what they do is they can be used in urban areas. So when you're using a weapon in urban areas, you want to make sure that you minimize collateral damage to the max extent possible. So this is the GBU-39 small diameter bomb. Very capable aircraft. So this one here, it's basically showing the wings on the bottom of them. So those wings can drop down and they fold out, and now you've got a very capable weapon on your hands. Because again, these things can basically fly through a window, make their way in, and strike targets in a very precise manner. And that's what you want when you're going up against any type of organization that's embedded itself with the local population. And when you look at the Cartel de los Soles, that's the cartel run by Maduro, you're obviously seeing them embed themselves in urban areas and embed them with the local population, basically trying to confuse anyone that could be going in and trying to take them down. So again, small diameter bombs, that's exactly what you want to be looking at. And again, when you look at these things and you see the fins on them, you can see how they basically slide out, and then those can go in and strike through windows, strike a lot of different targets that you would want to strike in a high density urban environment. So as you can see, lots of stuff being prepped, lots of things going down when it comes to the preparation. And again, seeing the B-52s, the repeated B-52 flights going in and out of Venezuelan airspace, we're looking at a situation where any day this could go down, because when airspace is being tested and probed like this, we're basically seeing what are the different signals that could try to take down our aircraft. So F-18, remember those F-18Es, those single-seat aircraft, F-18F. I think those F-18Fs, those double-seat aircraft, and I'll bring that up here in a second, but having those double-seat aircraft, you can really tune in to what kind of systems are targeting you. So when you're being targeted, you want to be able to see on your radar warning receiver what is actually being basically pinged off of your aircraft. So here's the Boeing FA-18E and F. This is an F-18F, so it's a two-seater. So again, having the Rio in the back seat, basically you got Goose back there who's showing, basically showing everything that the U.S. Navy stands for. Maverick and Goose, baby. So having Maverick back there in the front seat and having the Rio back there, operating and seeing what weapons are being pinged off of them will show, hey, how close can the B-52s get? How close can the B-1s get? And this thing has a radar warning receiver. So as soon as that radar from that surface-to-air missile locks onto it, now you're in a situation where this thing is collecting data, especially the EA-18G Growler version of this. It's just going to be hoovering up data and then pumping that back to higher headquarters to basically show, hey, this is what this threat is going to be when we send B-52s up here. So ideally, you have everything doped out, everything squared away prior to actually launching a strike. Will we see strikes in the next few days? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, testing airspace on a massive level basically means one thing. Well, it means two things. Negotiations, you want to have the ability to negotiate on an even deeper level, but I mean, you're kind of already there. You got a carrier strike group in the Caribbean. And then option two is there's actually going to be strikes going down. So we'll see what happens as this plays out. If you guys would, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. Give me a follow on X. I'm posting updates on there pretty much every day. Would love to hear what you guys think on this subject of probing and testing the Venezuelan airspace in a way that we've never seen. This is obviously going to make Maduro not sleep well at night. He's playing it cool, but we'll see what happens in the next few days, and I'll keep you guys updated as this develops. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. The best compliment you can give me is just watch this video. That pops up right here. When you watch this video, it helps the channel grow exponentially, and I would greatly appreciate it. Hope you all have a great day. This is Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, signing off.